Hi, welcome to another episode in our Macaw Ayahuasca Retreats podcast. Here we hope to be giving you tips, knowledge, and things that you can use to prepare, experience, and integrate all of your ayahuasca experiences. And today we're going to be talking about the healing. This has to do with the post I did on TikTok, Instagram, Shorts. Well, you can find us on all of the platforms, so do not hesitate to go and look for it, where you can find also videos and more content. And well, I want to go a little bit deeper because I want this podcast to be like a partner for those posts, but with much more information so that you can use it for yourself. And if it is useful to you and you vibe with what I say and who I am, well, this is like I said already. This is like a projection of my shamans, the shamans I work with, and with the program I do offer, which are ayahuasca retreats here in Medellin, Colombia, and all the preparation phase and integration. So you can contact us and we can give you and guide you through all the process of the ayahuasca experience. Okay, so let's jump into it. Let's talk about healing in your ayahuasca experience. And this is gonna be mainly about the experience itself because, yeah, you have to know that ayahuasca heals before, during, and after the experience, but we're gonna be talking much more about the experience itself. And this psychedelic and this plant is very famous for its healing part because it is very different from, let's say, mushrooms or other medicines. This one is very particular and known for the healing part, which is mainly, let's talk about the body. We're gonna be talking about the healing in the three parts of our being, or as you're gonna be experiencing in ayahuasca and in all of this information that you can get. You're gonna know that our being is divided in three parts, and you're gonna experience that in ayahuasca: body, mind, and spirit. So the body is the physical part. This is, people do not get mistaken here. Ayahuasca gives you or makes you throw up, and it also gives diarrhea, and that is the main part. So ayahuasca here is very different from others because it really has like a healing part of it. I've known people that had terminal issues and terminal diseases, and they were going to die 10 years ago. The doctors gave them 6 months, and they tried ayahuasca, and through a whole process of not only healing body but everything else in their being, well, the result was them being healed and being alive 10 years after. So this is not very known because people do not really trust this part. This is a very like magic like, and people think it's something very esoteric, but science is coming out more and more about this, and science hasn't got really into it. And as I have learned myself, it is better not to be telling people what ayahuasca can do because it is very powerful. And I think that who resonates with this, like you who are listening, are the ones that are chosen to have these powers. But to do this, and as the title of this podcast is, it isn't always pretty, but it is worth it. So it is gonna make you throw up, it is gonna make you have diarrhea, it is gonna make you, in my case, I have been having all kinds of symptoms, also sneezing like 30 times, feeling very sick, feeling even with my body that I'm going to die. That I'm going to die right there. It has given me like the cold of death. I have felt so cold that I think I'm going to die of that, of cold, of hypothermia. But it is not only that, because people talk about that, and and they talk about it as if it was the only thing that happened, but there are also the other two parts of our being, which are the mental part and the spiritual part. So as you are throwing up, or as you are going to the bathroom, or as you're sneezing, there is also a part in you that is talking to you, or there is a vision that is showing you how you're hearing something else. And here comes the mind, which is, I would say, here in the healing part is like the middle part between the spirit and the body, because body is not mistaken and people remember that. Spiritual part, I would say more than half of the people in their first experience don't even know what happened in the spiritual part. Well, a little bit more percentage do know what happened in their mind. So let's say what happened for me. I'm gonna tell you about one of my first experiences. I started thinking about my father, and I was thinking about him, nothing specifically, but I was thinking about him. And then a rage started to come to my mind, and I was mad with him and with something he told me last week. And then I had like the nausea and wanted to throw up. And as I was throwing up, I was seeing how I was mad with him and how I was like getting away from that feeling. So in my mind, it was very clear. And it helps because we have, and science has discovered how emotions are very related to our diseases. So what happens is that I try ayahuasca, let's say for example when I was 25, but maybe that rage was gonna be converted into a cancer in my pancreas in 15 years. So when I'm 25, it doesn't matter to me, and the rage isn't really big. But when I'm 40, a doctor says to me, and I get diagnosed with cancer, and I don't know where that came from. So that is how ayahuasca also heals. It not always, and this is not medicine for people that are already like in their path to death. Although I told you those stories of the kind of people that get healed, but this medicine is much more for people that want to heal before it is expressed in the body. So that will be in the mind, and it also heals us in a lot of things that makes us suffer. So here in the mind, it is not illness itself, but suffering. Everything that is stressing us, making us have fear in the middle of the day, having rage, those things that we do not directly look each day, but that we have 5 minutes of it, or 10 minutes, or maybe it causes insomnia in us, and we have gotten like the habit of having insomnia, and it is normal in our life. But one of the phrases, and this is a phrase I didn't hear from anyone, this was specifically in an ayahuasca experience. It told me that things may be normal, but they are not natural. So insomnia in our days are normal. It's normal to have insomnia when you're 30 or older, or even before. It is normal. It has become normal for the masses, but it is not natural. It wasn't natural for our ancestors to keep awake at night. It wasn't. And not thinking about bills or my boss or some fight that I had with my couple. No. So ayahuasca goes into that. And then in the spiritual world, here comes a lot about our families. Maybe you can look a little bit more about constellations, so know what are the weights that we're carrying from our ancestors, from our father, and then the father of our father, and all of our ancestors that haven't solved those problems, we're also carrying them. So ayahuasca helps us, and this is a very powerful tool that I have found, is that when you're carrying that weight, it's gonna be shown in your ayahuasca experience, and it's gonna be felt like 100-fold. So That means that you cannot unsee it for, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or it's gonna be felt as if it was an eternity. That means you're not going to forget it. And that helps you to go to that point of saturation, which is when you, with your mind, which is the bridge between the spiritual part and your body, you say, enough, I don't want this anymore, I want to solve it. And normally, right then, is when you're throwing up or when you're going to the bathroom, and that is the most beautiful part, because that's how mind, body, and spiritual world come together in ayahuasca in a moment of your life. That could be throwing up and feeling that shame, or going to the bathroom and having an awful diarrhea. I'm gonna say the word, an awful diarrhea. And it is like the way how it changes your DNA. This is not something I can explain you with words, because many of the things that happen in psychedelic experiences cannot be yet explained in words, but it is something that is lived. And those are very important parts. So the question here is how to be the best prepared for healing, and how get the best benefit of them. And it is preparation with clear intentions of what things you want to heal and what are your problems in your day. So when you have high expectations in north, you know all the things that are not right in your life. And then integration is talking about that experience, even the darkest ones, because normally when you go back to it, it is very clear what you need to give up in your life and to change. I will keep this podcast and this episode short, but I really hope it's helped you. Thank you so much.